Hi everyone, my name is Brian and I'm the 3D print creator. I am entering a contest where you have to create a 3D printed Nerf compatible or Nerf Dart compatible launcher. And you have to create a thing that can shoot Nerf darts, and those are these blue things I have here. It's a very great contest because I think it's very nice to create something where kids like to play with, but also grown-ups like to play with. Everyone loves Nerf Dart, so I think it's a great contest. And that said, I think it's also very nice that with this contest children are able to be involved with 3D printing, because they will love it if their daddy or their mama goes and print this thing with them. So they can create something and it will take maybe days, maybe weeks to create, but then they have something which is really nice and which other kids don't have. So I think that's great. I'll show you the contest page. So here you see the contest page, and well, there's a lot of things about the contest details, the duration, and so on. But then there are the rules, and I think those are pretty important to read because, well, I have to enter with things that comply to the rules. So you must be a member of the Facebook group. Well, I am. You must enter your design on YouMagine.com. You're not allowed to enter with existing designs. So your design has to be from, when is this posted? The 26th of August. Well, you have to design something which is designed after the 26th of August. You have to tag your design with a nice tag. You have to place it in the category of contest, and you have to post your design on the Facebook group and set your design in the wiki mode. I actually really don't know what it means, but I will do everything like this, and I don't think this is very difficult for me to comply. Then there are a lot of prizes. Well, great. I think they're great prizes. And also there is a video of Joe telling you what to do. Well, I'm going to enter. So here is the design I made. So here we have my design in 123D design. And one of the things in the rules was that you have to 3D print all the parts. Well, they didn't say you have to 3D print all the parts, but they'll check how many stock items you have used and how big a percentage of your gun will be 3D printed. So I said to myself, I have to 3D print everything, but I mean really everything which can be 3D printed. So there are two exceptions in my design. This, exception one are my motors. You can't print 3D. You can't 3D print your motors. And the other are two rods that hold every piece together. So those are the parts you have to buy. But for the rest, all my parts are 3D printed, and I'll show you. Here you have the gun from its side. Place it a little bit lower so you can see it everything. It exists of a few parts. There is the shoulder stock, there is this enhancer for the length, then there is the shutter mechanism, there is the part that holds the plunger, and I'll show you later what it does. There is the motor mount and the motor carriage. There are the wheels that are spinning so the Nerf will fly out. And there is this stock handle, so you have a foregrip and a back grip on your gun. Then I will show you in another layout how it looks. Because here we have the back part, the shoulder part and the extender. Well, those parts are just there to have it against your shoulder. And why did I do this? Well, I went to a Toys R Us store and I asked to one of the employees there, what are the most sold Nerf compatible guns you have? And he said, well, the most sold are the cheapest, but all the kids want the biggest. The bigger the better. So I then thought, well, my gun must be big. It has to be a rifle or an assault rifle, but something really big, because when it's small, then, well, yeah, it can shoot, but the kids will love it when it's big. And I also think it's for the competition nice to have something really, really tall. So this is the back part, and this already is 38 centimeters tall up to this point, so it's really tall. Then I had to design the trigger mechanism, and at first I wanted to design something which includes a little coil, and with the coil I wanted to slam the Nerf Dart through the motors. But when doing that, you need something to control that coil, you need something to, you need more electronics in this design. And then I read the rules again, and I said to myself, well, the more parts are 3D printed, the better it is. So I have to design something which does it all by plastic, all by 3D printed parts. And this is where I designed this trigger mechanism, and I'll show you here, which is a trigger, which is a wheel with a short end on the bottom side and a longer end at the top side. So if you push this back 2 centimeters, then this will be pushed in about 5.5 centimeters. And therefore it can push in my plunger 5.5 centimeters to the front. So it gives me a very long track where I can slide in the Nerf in between the two motor wheels. Then I also thought, well, this trigger has to come back to its original state every time and again. So when you shoot it, it has to come back to its original state. And therefore I made this extension on it. And in the handles, both the left and the right handle, there is this part which you can see here. And this makes it possible to use a simple rubber band like this. And with that simple rubber band you can make sure that your trigger comes back every time and again. So it's a very simple thing, but it's completely 3D printed, and that was my goal. I wanted to make something which is fully 3D printed and which used as less stock parts as possible. Then there is this plunger, and this plunger has to stay on one height all the time. So it has to only move in and move out of this part here. So I had to use something which leveled the height, and so therefore I had this part printed, and it's a snap fit, so you can print it and then snap it together. So you won't have to use anything, you even don't have to use glue to get this press fit together. And this way it makes it possible for me to have a plunger that goes in all the way to here, and it can push out the Nerf on the end. Then because this thing is laying in this trigger assembly, this trigger is laying in it with this rod and this wheel here, I had to make an opening where you can slide it in. And because of that opening I also needed a stopper, and this is the stopper part which prevents the trigger from sliding out. So this part is needed for that. But also this part gives you very much possibilities to create other extensions. So if you're printing this gun with your children, with your kid, and you want to make, for example, a phone holder, and I'll show you later why this can be a very nice thing to have, then that phone holder can be mounted on this part. And there are a lot of other things you can mount here. You can think of a laser sight. You can think of normal sights, optics, all kind of things you can mount on this part. But again, I wanted to have this as much as possible 3D printed. So I didn't design all those things because a laser would have costed more stock parts. An optic element on top, it would have been more stock parts, and I wanted to have all the things 3D printed, and then it must be a very decent and very nice looking gun. Then there is this foregrip handle, and this foregrip handle is only there to give you extra support and to make the gun badass. It has to look great, it has to look like an AR style gun, and well, with this foregrip handle it looks like this. And then there is this motor mount, and this motor mount is basically nothing more than a mount in which you can manually put the Nerf darts. So here in this slot you can push the Nerf darts, and then on top of the motor mount there will be this holder for the motors in which the real motors are seated. And then there are those flywheels which fly into these holes here and which will push out the Nerf dart when they come in between them. And then at the front of this, I haven't it on this design, I have it in another document, but I'll include it of course in the STL files. There is a barrel, and that barrel has a flash hider on top as well. Then, as you can see here, there are openings for 2 nuts. And the reason for that, maybe you've seen it already, but I'll go to the drawing again as it's possible. So now you see the outlines only. You can see there are 2 pipes all the way through all the parts of the gun. And this is because you can use threaded rods, M5 threaded rods, and then you can push the M5 nuts on top of them, and here you will have the possibility to insert the end caps of the threaded rods with the nuts inside. And I'll advise you to use some glue or some Loctite to make sure that the nuts and the threaded rods won't turn around while mounting the other side. And I'll show you that here. So here you can enter those nuts. On the other side around, and that will be here, there is just a large opening, and there the rods come out, and there you can use rings and then again nuts, and this will keep everything together. And this means that you even won't have to use glue. I did use glue on my gun, but you won't have to use glue to get the gun together. And I think it's more stable if you use just a little glue. And I used hot glue, so you can also get it from you can release hot glue again very easy just by pouring some alcohol on top of it. So this was my way of making the gun very easy to assemble and disassemble, because again I didn't want to fall into the category of very difficult to assemble. I think it must be very fun and very nice to assemble and very easy. So that's why I did it in this way. Well, then we have the complete design of the gun, which is fully 3D printed. But then there is one thing I wanted to show you which is very nice, and that is this opening here. There's a rectangular opening here, as you can see, and at the end of the opening you see the nut slots, and this opening is actually to mount a GoPro Hero camera. So if you have a GoPro Hero camera like this, then you can mount it inside here, so you can see and you can record with your camera how your shots are being fired. And I think this is a pretty neat option to have in a Nerf gun, because then you see where your Nerfs are flying and if you hit something or not. So this was just an extra. If you don't want to have the GoPro inside, well, leave it open as it is, or you can print something else to put inside. But I think it's very nice to have a GoPro inside there. So this is how I made it, and now I will show you how the gun looks. And so here I do have the gun as it actually looks. This is the back part, which is the shoulder mount and its extender, and where it gets black it's already 38 centimeters long. So this part is already 38 centimeters long. That was too long for me to print on my machine, because it can only print a cube of 20 by 20 by 20. So I had to place multiple parts on one bed and had to print them side by side. And therefore there is a slight opening here, but it's held together by those two rods. Then there is this trigger mechanism, and this trigger mechanism actually are two pieces, two sides, which I mounted together. I think you can see it like here, that it's two sides. I mounted them together, and well, by mounting them together you can get those rubber bands inside, which are here. I've not cut them off yet because I wanted to show them. But the rubber band makes it possible to fire the trigger mechanism and yeah, to let it come back to its original state. So this is completely 3D printed. There are no other things inside here except one rubber band. Then this is varying in height, so you can see like here. And this part keeps it together, so this plunger only moves straight forward and backwards. And I think also this is very nice to show to children, because then you can show children not only that the distance here is smaller than the distance there, and so the travel is bigger, but you can also show them how to make a part which goes only one direction while the other part is moving up and down also. So it's not only going forward, it also moves up because of its rotational movement. Then here you can see this is the part where you put your Nerf Dart, and you can see that the plunger pushes the Nerf Dart out. And as you can see there as well, when I put in a Nerf, is that the plunger pushes the Nerf in between those wheels. So when they're in between these wheels, then the wheels can, when they spin, shoot out the Nerf, so it goes through the barrel and then it will pop out. And those wheels are very fast turning, so well the Nerf will shoot out very fast. I could have used, for example, brushless motors, which would have run very fast and actually will last longer than normal motors, what I've used now. And I've seen some guy on the internet while I was looking up some Nerf guns who already did it with brushless motors. But then I also needed a controller to control them, and as I said, I wanted this gun to be as easy and as non-difficult to make as possible. I wanted it to be fully 3D printed without difficult electronics, so every parent with his children can make this. Then the motors are normal 30mm in diameter size motors, and they're 12 volt, so I need a 12 volt battery to run them. And actually that part is still in my printer, because I'm really working on the deadline, and when that part is printed it will fit in here. So here I will have my 12 volt battery pack, which holds 8 AA batteries, and which will be mounted to the motors, so the motors will start spinning, and then I can fire the gun. So when this print is done, I will show you how it fires. Oh, and I almost forgot. Here I've got the GoPro camera, here I've got the opening where you can see the nuts. But when you push in a GoPro camera like this, then it's inserted and it won't fall out, because it's a very tight fit. I created it especially this way, so you won't have to use any other components to fit in there. This way your GoPro camera fits inside, it won't fall off, and well, I think it's very neat to have a gun like this, and I think children will love it to play with it. I'll show it off like this. It's really an AR style gun, and it's very strong, very heavy. It feels like a real gun, and actually, to be honest, the reason why I chose white PLA for this part is because there is a gun law here in the Netherlands which doesn't allow me to make a too realistic looking gun. And well, I don't want to break that law, and I don't want to have this gun listed as an assault rifle. So I created this in white PLA. Of course you can do so in another color, or you can make it completely blue or red or whatever you like, also completely black, but I didn't choose that because of this law. So this is my gun, and now we go to the shooting. So guys, I told you that on the very last minute before I have to head to Germany, where I have to be in a convention, I had to print only the power supply. And of course I could have used a power supply which was already available, but I didn't want to do so. I wanted all the parts 3D printed as much as possible. So also the power supply had to be 3D printed. So basically this is a 40mm round shaft that goes on top of the gun like this, and it fits in like there. And you can keep it together with rubber bands, or you can even, if you push it in, it won't fall off because it's exactly the same size. This is fitted with a connector. I've just made a simple connector on top of it, and with that connector I can power the gun, because on the front of the gun there is a connector as well. So immediately after I switch on the power supply with this connector, the wheels will start spinning, and now the gun is loaded and ready to shoot. So this is my very first test. I really hope it works. We'll find out. And it works. And I'm so proud of myself at this moment. I created a nice 3D printed Nerf shooting gun. And this is how I'm going to enter the contest with this gun. I'll give you all the files as STL files. I'll post them on YouMagine, and well, everyone, I'm proud of this gun. Bye bye.